Yo, what's up guys, my name is Acoustically, and today we're gonna talk about how to deal with Blissey. There's one tip to ensure that you will never lose to Blissey, and it is press Alt F4. Okay guys, this was basically the guide. I hope you guys liked this video. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, leave a comment down below. For now, peace out. Nah, I'm kidding. Let's try this again. Yo, what is up guys? My name is Acoustically and welcome to another Pokemon guide. This time, it's a guide on how to deal with Blissey. I got this question a lot, so I decided to make a guide of it. And let's hop right into it. The points that I would like to cover in this guide are Blissey's most likely movesets, 4 main ways to deal with Blissey, and I will end up with some helpful links to other videos supporting this guide. Okay, before you want to deal with a certain Pokemon, you will always have to know which set he is running. Knowing how fast a Pokemon is or how much damage a Pokemon can do or take, that will come with experience. However, the moves that a Pokemon will use will always be different depending on the trainer and his team. So it's all up to you to find out which moves the opponent is using. So basically you have to scout for the moves first. Luckily, almost every Pokemon has a move that they will always be using. Blissey is one of these Pokemon. Blissey will always have Soft Boiled and Seismic Toes in this moveset, so all you have to do is find out what the 2 remaining moves are. Well, here are 2 movesets that Blissey will most likely be running. In the first moveset, Blissey will be running Soft Boiled, Seismic Toes, a status move being Toxic or Thunder Wave, and a coverage move which could be Psychic, Flamethrower, Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, or Shadow Ball. In the next set, Blissey will be running Soft Boiled, Seismic Toes, a status move being Toxic or Thunder Wave, and Aromatherapy, so that he can heal a teammate and cure his status condition. Now that we know which sets Blissey will most likely run, we can go over the 4 ways to deal with Blissey. Okay, but before we talk about those 4 ways to deal with Blissey, I want to point one little thing out first, cause entry hazards can make a huge difference. Stealth Rocks, 1 layer of spikes, 1 layer of toxic spikes all do 12% of a Pokemon's health each time they switch in. So that can really add up when you try to take down a Pokemon, and Blissey will often be switched in, so having that up can make a huge difference. But yeah, let's talk about the 4 ways now. First, the first way to deal with Blissey is having a strong fighting type with a strong stab move, obviously, because the next way is to have a taunt user on your team. The third way is a Pokemon that can double his attack. And the last way to deal with Blissey is to have a Pokemon that can actually lure Blissey into the game. But yeah, let's talk about a fighting type with a strong stab move first. By the way, there are many more ways to deal with Blissey, but I just think these 4 ways are the most consistent ones. Okay, a fighting type with a strong stab move. I know it's obvious, but it is definitely a way to destroy Blissey. But keep in mind, you do need something like close combat or stronger to one-hit KO Blissey, cause a unboosted Drain Punch, even with a Life Orb, does not one-hit KO Blissey. So my favorite examples are Heracross. Even though this Pokemon has the Guts ability, switching into Blissey might not always be a good idea. If you know you can get a kill though, and your Heracross has more than 60% of his health, you can definitely switch your Heracross in. But don't switch them in mindlessly if Blissey has something like Flamethrower or Psychic, and ideally do not want to switch them into Toxic or Thunder Wave. You can switch Heracross in to a incoming Toxic if you will get a guaranteed kill after, but try to avoid the Thunder Wave, because we don't really like to rely on RNG or play against RNG. Okay, next up is Medicham. Even though Medicham has Drain Punch, and Drain Punch can easily KO Blissey with the huge power ability, the preferred option is still High Jump Kick, because even physical walls have trouble switching in to High Jump Kick if they don't resist the attack. One thing Medicham does really not like to switch into Blissey, so be careful about that. But you can switch him in on a prediction, or if you predict him to go for a Soft Bullet or Aromatherapy. But I would not like to switch him into a incoming attack. Okay, the other Pokemon is Gallade. Gallade is kind of the same as Medicham, same principle, and Machamp is kind of the same as Heracross. I know the No Guard set is really popular, but it's not that great to break walls in my opinion, because you still have to rely on the confusion, which is RNG, and I think the Guts Close Combat set is much better for wall breaking, so that's why I prefer that. So the important thing is basically be careful with switching in. And one other important thing I would like you to consider is when Blissey is low, but not low enough for your Pokemon to kill it, it sometimes is worth to just hard switch one of these Pokemon into Blissey, because Blissey has to choose. If he goes for the healing move, then your Pokemon can get off a really hard hit on your opponent, and if they decide to predict the switch and attack, then Blissey will remain with low HP, which makes it still possible to kill it. But yeah, that's basically the first way to deal with Blissey. Let's now talk about the taunt users. A reliable taunt user. I myself always like to take a taunt user with me, something with taunt, because it can kind of help you against stall, and it also prevents Pokemon from setting up. But yeah, Pokemon with the access to taunt will prevent Blissey from recovering or dishing out status moves. And Blissey's main attack is Seismic Toss, and this move will always do 100 damage, and it can never crit. So if Blissey cannot recover, then it will be much easier to take it down. So some very good examples of taunt users are Crobat. Crobat has access to taunt, and he has also access to Roost, which allows Crobat to keep Blissey taunted. Crobat only has to be careful about the Psychic attack with the combination of special defense drops if Crobat is not running full HP. But if Blissey doesn't have Psychic, then he doesn't really care about any of the coverage moves at all. The combo I would like to use with Crobat is to taunt first if you don't have Toxic, and then Blissey will stay taunted for 2 other turns, which means you can use Brave Bird and then Roost the damage that Blissey dealt and the recoil damage. And if you're still low enough on after that, then you can taunt Blissey again and Roost, and then Brave Bird again. You basically have to keep track of your own HP and decide when to Roost, but taunt should give you enough time to do damage and to heal yourself. But yeah, if Blissey has Thunder Wave, do not switch it in mindlessly. If Blissey has Toxic, then Crobat is a pretty free switch. The next Pokemon is Tyranitar. Tyranitar has a lot of HP, and combined with a very high attack stat, he can be very threatening to Blissey. However, Tyranitar without a choice band or without a boosted attack stat will lack the power to 2-hit KO Blissey, and this is where taunt comes in, because a uninvested crunch from Tyranitar will do around 30% of Blissey's health, and with taunt all this damage cannot be healed or recovered. So this way Tyranitar will be able to 1v1 Blissey without getting stalled, which is very important. Next up is Gyarados. Blissey needs around 4 Seismic Doses to KO Gyarados, and Gyarados only needs 2 Dragon Dances to reliably 2-hit KO Blissey. By the way, if Gyarados gets up 1 Dragon Dance, he can still 2-hit KO Blissey, but then it will become a roll. And if he gets up 1 Dragon Dance, Gyarados actually outspeeds the whole metagame, which is crazy. So Gyarados can easily set up on Blissey, but do not switch him in like the others against incoming attacks. Try to predict a switch or try to get Gyarados in through a Volt Switch for a U-turn. Gyarados also has to be careful about the random Thunderbolt coverage move. But other than that, Gyarados is also a really good answer. And for our last Pokemon, I know it's not used a lot this way, actually. I think I'm the only one who's using it. But Skarmory actually has access to Taunt. And Skarmory also has a pretty nice speed tier, outspeeding most of the walls in the game, including Blissey. And I like Taunt on Skarmory because it completely shuts down Scissor. Because Scissor cannot Roost, Scissor cannot Swords Dance, and all the attacking moves of Scissor do not really hurt Skarmory, and Skarmory can hit Scissor pretty well with the Brave Bird. And yeah, just like Crobat, Skarmory does pretty much the same. It has access to Roost, and it has access to Brave Bird, and it's also immune to Toxic. However, be careful about Flamethrower and Thunderbolt on Blissey, because it will do close to half of Skarmory's HP. But yeah, that was basically the second way to deal with Blissey. Let's talk about the third way, being a Pokemon that can double his attack through Swords Dance. These Pokemon are usually able to KO Blissey after a Swords Dance, or at least be close to killing it. And yeah, it is not very difficult to set up on Blissey, because Blissey does lack the power to KO these Pokemon. But the reason why we want Swords Dance or a other move that can get a +2 stat is because if you go for something like Dragon Dance, you need like 3 or 2 Dragon Dances to kill Blissey. Even 4 Dragon Dance with some Pokemon, and that will give Blissey enough time to deal a lot of damage to your Pokemon and even kill it or stall it out. And yes, Swords Dance is just way faster, and after a Swords Dance you can get a really big hit off. So some good examples are Garchomp. This is actually by far my favorite Pokemon for this role, because Garchomp can easily get up 1 Swords Dance on Blissey. Garchomp is immune to Thunder Wave, and it does not care about any of the coverage moves besides Ice Beam. And sometimes it's even worth to tank the Toxic if you can get a kill after, because this will happen a lot. But if you can get a kill, then just take the Toxic hit. And next up is Scissor. Scissor is not able to one-hit KO Blissey after Swords Dance, but Scissor is immune to Toxic, and if Blissey doesn't have Flamethrower or Thunder Wave, then Scissor can easily set up multiple sword stances against Blissey, which sometimes ends up Scissor sweeping or cleaning up the game. So that's basically it for those Pokemon. If you can find another Pokemon who can use Sword Stance and with a very strong stab move, then they will also be very viable for that role. It has to be a physical attacker though, because you can use nasty plot users, but even at +6 you won't sometimes be able to hit KO Blissey. So that's why we're using physical attackers for this. Okay, next up is a way to lure in Blissey. Okay, the best way to do this is to use a Pokemon that Blissey is designed to take on. In most cases, this will be a strong special attacker, and I know this might sound strange, but let me explain. By luring Blissey in, you can make a prediction and bring in your Blissey counter. Using a strong electric type that has access to Volt Switch, or a strong special attacker that has access to U-turn, makes it even easier. However, it's not necessary to have Volt Switch or U-turn on these Pokemon. You can still do it without it, but doing it this way will give your opponent less room to outplay you. But yeah, that was basically the guide, so I hope you liked it. And now I will end up with some useful links to some of my videos that support this guide. I will put these links down into the description. But yeah, the first link is basically a video to my guide on how to play with your win conditions. It basically explains how to get these Pokemon safely into the game and how to play with them. And in the second link, you see me playing against another guy in a tournament. He played a pretty stally team, and I pretty much showed how you dismantle a stall team. I also did some commentary, so that will explain it even more. And in the third link, you see me battling with my Heracross, which puts in a lot of pressure on my opponent who had a Blissey. And in the fourth link, you can watch my team building video if you haven't watched it already. That way you will basically understand how to put these Pokemon into your team and how to make a team overall in Pokemon. So I hope you guys like this video. If you would like me to cover something else, let me know down into the comments. If you like this video, hit that like button, and if you want to be the first one to see my videos, make sure to subscribe. But for now, peace out and let's go. See you guys in the next video.